Hi, Pastor Trieber. My name is Tiffany Kuenzi. This is my 14-year-old son, Dylan. I live in Pennsylvania, and I just wanted to reach out to you because we have been following the story of what your church is going through right now in California and the large fines and everything that's been happening at your church. I've never reached out to let you know, but I wanted to share with you my story. About 13 years ago, you were used by God to literally, physically save my life. I know what your governor is doing in California is being done to save lives. And so I thought it was important to let people know that what you are doing physically saves lives as well. The story is, I was 20 years old when Dylan was born. My husband and I had been married about a year. And when he was born gray and limp and not breathing. Long story short, he spent 5 weeks in the NICU, and by the time he came out, he had no cry, no gag, no swallow, no suck. He was on a feeding tube. He was having daily seizures. And the doctors told us at best he would be functioning as a 2-year-old. That was the best prognosis they could give us based on the brain damage that he had. I was really struggling with accepting life as what it was going to be with Dylan and seeing the value in life. I became pretty depressed and even suicidal in my thoughts, wondering, could I take my own life? My heart hurt so bad. My life was shattered. I have an example here that my life was like this cup. It's pretty, it's blue, it has a purpose, a very specific purpose, and it holds liquids, you drink out of it. I thought I had my life planned out. I thought I knew what my life was going to be. And after Dylan was born and the doctors were telling me that he may never get better, he may never make progress, that this is all his life would ever be, I felt like my life was taken and put down and literally shattered into pieces. And just like this cup has been shattered into so many pieces, it can't be put back together. There's no way I could see that that cup could become a cup again, that it could have the purpose that it was supposed to have. But one day, my husband and I were in a disagreement, and we quite honestly argued quite a bit because he was able to accept God's will for us with this life, and I couldn't. And he was telling me everything I needed to hear, but I just couldn't accept it coming from him. So one Sunday morning, I clearly remember Dylan was about 10 months old, and I decided to stay home from church one Sunday morning because we were arguing, and I felt like I couldn't go into church and put on a fake smile and pretend like I was okay. I had hit a rock bottom point where I was not okay. I was angry at God, I was angry at life, I couldn't accept it, I wouldn't accept it. So I stayed home that day, and even though I live in Pennsylvania and I've never met you, I've never seen you, we had family who used to attend your church, so I knew about you. And I got on the internet and I pulled up one of your archived messages. I don't remember what it was. I remember the title made me think that it would be something I needed to hear. So I listened to your message. And that day I remember God used what you said to take me from a point of shattered, broken pieces that had no purpose, no value, to realizing that God could use those broken pieces to create something beautiful. And that day my life went from shattered, broken pieces to seeing the beauty that could come from the broken pieces of glass if we only let God use us. And that day I finally cried out to God and said, how, God? Everyone keeps telling me all things work together for good to them that love God. But how? How can this be good? So it was that day, the next day, somewhere right in there, that I decided to write up Dylan's story in a pamphlet form. And over the years, we've changed it and updated it as he's gotten older. But this story has gone out to literally tens of thousands of people. And it has touched people's lives. It's encouraged them through their trials. It's blessed them. It's just shared the gospel with people. People have come to know Jesus Christ as their Savior because of this story. And I just wanted to let you know that you were instrumental in God finally taking the brokenness of my heart and turning it into beauty and now that Dylan is 14 years old, we have peace, and we know that God's in control, and we can see the good that God has done. And my life was drastically changed that day because of your message. And I'd like to plead with your governor and your governing bodies out there. I know that they're trying to act to save people's lives, but I want them to know that what you do in your ministry out there in the local church, that we got to know you because of family who went to the physical location there, that you are being used by God to save people's lives as well, to literally physically save people's lives. I know I'm just one person. I'm sure in your years of ministry, there's many others who have been like us, that God has used you to help. And I would plead with your governors that they would open their heart and see that what you're doing is necessary. And we continue to lift you guys up in prayer, your church, and just that you would have wisdom and knowledge from God of what you should do. And we want to encourage you, and I want to thank you for how God used you to help me in my life.